Alrighty, this is the ongoing co-conspirators of murder that are stalking with the entity that's maintaining plane activity. That is, again, changing the location based on me changing my location, moving around, stalking with light. Doing so at the, this is the square. So Saris Regis Group is stalking with the U.S. military. Wells Fargo is stalking with the U.S. military. John Stewart Company is stalking with the U.S. military. While the entity is flying over the venue, engaging in the pattern of conduct, Metro 102, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center, those are all venues associated with the City of Ontario, funded, in other words, where terrorism is underway. SECURITAS is engaged in domestic terrorism, not engaged in the provision of security services. Moreover, an employer, a legitimate one, they're a domestic terrorist, and they're going to be federally prosecuted. You're looking at impunity while you have the entity that is stalking with light, which is evidence of stalking. That is not evidence that you're on your job, engaging in any constitutionally protected or law-abiding conduct. It's the pattern of conduct. And the entity is engaging in this while they are stalking as an entity, which is also proven under the fake sun. The entity is engaging in this while they are also monitoring evidence. This is the entity that's flying over the back of these senior citizen complex apartments, Southwest Airlines. You have the entity that's engaged in the same. This is the City Hall. This is not a takeoff. This is the entity that is stalking with activity creation, and that is United Airlines, P.O.C. And they're hovering over the senior citizen complex. This is the Ontario City Hall. And this is miles away from the airport, and it's very early in the morning. This is how early the homosexuals are up, meaning they don't go to sleep. These are diaper wearing homosexuals, all right? Very clearly likely having issues with their controlling their bowel movements, with the heavy homosexuality practices that they're engaging in, while their failed witchcraft is being exposed, and it's going to be used to have them committed, because these homosexuals are engaging in what is reckless and criminal activity, and they are the U.S. military. There's no passengers on the United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Alaska Airlines planes that are hovering over this civic center. While they're engaging in cartwheels, they're flying over and doing cartwheels over the senior citizen complex. There's no passengers on those planes. While the entity is engaging in what is hovering over the city, following me where I'm going on the streets that I'm on, doing so while the entity is sharing in the pattern of conduct of pacing. There are no passengers on those planes. The entity is maintaining the list of departures and arrivals regarding destinations. And then the entity is gang stalking me, and that's the Ontario International Airport. This is Alan D. Wapner, who is associated with this venue on the Ontario City Hall. That is a gang stalker. Obviously, this is not going to remain in office. He's not going to remain in office, and this is not going to remain funded. The entity is going to be federally prosecuted by virtue of United Airlines gang stalking me on video at 6:38 in the morning in the specific environment where the fake sun is still here as a matter of evidence after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the entity has amber light in the sky space as though this is where the sun is rising. All right, this is the P.O.C. That's what this is. And United Airlines is speaking to the population, and it's speaking to an entity that is every corporate entity that is engaging in that. And it is the Ontario International Airport that is exhibiting mental illness. That is a national security threat, while those same mentally ill gang stalkers crash planes in order to kill people. Okay, it is a national security threat while anyone is being gang stalked by any commercial airline company, which is underway for the terrorists who are the United States military engaging in terrorism in California. That's what's significant about the entity that is pacing around right here at the Civic Center. And remember, when I'm in Upland, California, then all of a sudden the sun is not over, because there's only one. And so the mentally ill are going to be committed. They're going to be federally prosecuted with regard to the unintelligent illusion that I documented in order to prove that they are engaging in a satanic, that is a supernatural and equally criminal and highly malicious pattern of conduct. Securitas is stalking with light. The people of the state are stalking in the path. And they're doing so at 6:36 in the morning, which is also a picture of obsession. All right, this is the P.O.C. Go ahead and show you what is psychopathic pacing. And the entity is doing the same thing with helicopter activity. That is UPS, and there are also no passengers, and there's no packages. You're engaging in what is stalking. And Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines do the exact same thing. Cartwheels to me, stalking in the path. And it's the same thing when they're hovering over a senior citizen complex. There are no planes whatsoever. No airline is making any flights from the terminals taking off here. They're doing a cartwheel over Metro 102. This is the entity that's engaging in that. There is no plane that they can use, in other words, to try to reconcile the analysis that I just gave. There is no time of day that will make it normal. There is no evidence that's going to be removed, such as the fake sun and the fake moon and the entity stalking by helicopter. There is also no normalcy regarding what is stalking in the senior citizen complex, which is what the entity is doing. And also you're paying attention to the targeting, which you'll see at 6:51 a.m. during the 6 a.m. hour, right before 6 a.m., like 5:51 a.m. around 6 a.m. The entity is doing cartwheels, but not right here. While I'm at the square, the entity is doing cartwheels over the El Bacon, where I am standing, just like what UPS did right here. UPS is the murderer that killed those people in Kentucky, and it wasn't an accident. Look at the fake sun, the engineer light, where they are intentionally crashing planes that is killing people, engaging in acts of terrorism, just like UPS is gang stalking, doing so in concert with the people, 6:41 a.m. The apartment complex that they're doing cartwheels over are the same. That entire complex is engaged in state surveillance. All right, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 6:41 a.m. This is the evidence of mental illness. This is Terminex engaging in surveillance at 320 North Euclid Avenue, stalking with light in the path. The homosexual of the U.S. military using commercial vehicles to engage in stalking. The very people of the state are using what are their jobs. Instead of going about and minding their business and exterminating, they're engaging in criminal surveillance. This is stalking with light in the path. This is a demon that's studying their communication device, while other demons are pacing, including in the sky space, and stalking with light. This is coordinated criminal monitoring. This is the P.O.C. This is the same one that was stalking with the entity that was flying over me by helicopter. She is going to prison. It is currently 6:41 a.m. and this is equally damning, just like stalking by helicopter. She's going to prison. P.O.C.